Some injury news today might have revealed the real reason for another roster move earlier this week from the Edmonton Oilers. I'm going to talk about all that and more as the players get set to return to the ice. But before I do that, please hit that subscribe button. We're not too far off from 2,000 subscribers on Oilers Digest. And as you can see, our number of subscribed viewers is up past 10%, which is awesome. But getting that number even higher would be even more awesome. All right, so as of yesterday, the Edmonton Oilers' rookie camp is officially underway. That kicked off on Wednesday. That was yesterday with fitness and testing and physicals, and a few guys even had a chance to speak with the media. Today on Thursday, they're hitting the ice for their first on-ice practice, which is exciting as they gear up for the Young Stars Classic. There's no official word yet, but with the Young Stars Classic starting on Friday, that's tomorrow, it's pretty safe to assume that the Oilers' main camp will open up on Monday, so keep an eye out for that announcement. The Young Stars tournament brings together the Oilers, Flames, Canucks, and Jets prospects. It takes place in Penticton if you don't know what it is. And Edmonton plays Vancouver tomorrow night. And as far as this tournament goes, if you're hockey starved right now, this little tournament is pretty sweet to watch. Every single one of the four teams is going to have a blue chip prospect that's going to be pretty intriguing to watch play. The Vancouver Canucks have their 2024 World Junior MVP, Jonathan Lekura-Maki. Both the Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets are in the same boat. They're both dressing their new number one prospects. Edmonton, of course, got Matthew Savoy from Buffalo. Winnipeg recently picking up Braden Yeager from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And then Calgary's going to dress Zane Parekh. That's their 2024 first-round pick. And all that to say, this tournament's worth keeping an eye on. The hockey's good and the quality of prospects are good. You're going to see guys play in this tournament this weekend that maybe won't have an impact on their respective teams' NHL rosters this season, but definitely by the season after, if not this season. So now on to a couple of key players that are going to be missing or might be missing the start of main camp, and that's Evander Kane and Darnell Nurse. According to Tom Gazzola on Twitter, both of these Oilers are starting camp, quote, on the shelf due to injuries. Now, for Evander Kane, it's not really a shock. He's been dealing with some issues that were expected to delay his start. He's been injury-riddled since last season, but Darnell Nurse is news. That's a more recent development, and Gazzola mentioned that Nurse has been skating with the team in informal skates. It sounds like he's still healing from a lingering injury that he picked up during the playoffs, and let's be honest, lingering injuries from a deep playoff run are part of the deal, especially when you make it as far as Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, but it's a good sign that Darnell Nurse is already back on the ice. It kind of reminds me a little bit the situation of what we saw with Mattias Ekholm last year. We saw Ekholm miss the season opener. I don't know if you guys remember that last year with a minor injury, but he'd been skating with the team throughout camp, and, you know, where Darnell Nurse is now is much in the same spot that Mattias Ekholm was during this time last year. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Even if Kane and or Nurse miss a few games at the start of the season, I don't think we're anywhere near panic mode yet, especially for those two players. The Edmonton Oilers' playoff hopes aren't going to sink because of a few early absences, especially to Kane and Nurse. We're going to switch gears now. There's been another exciting addition to the Edmonton Oilers team, and it's on their coaching staff. Small little thing, but on Wednesday, the team announced they've hired Andreas Karlsson as a player development coach. Andreas Karlsson was an NHL forward with both the Atlanta Thrashers, there's a blast from the past, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he spent the last 6 seasons coaching in the OHL with the Brantford Bulldogs and the Kitchener Rangers. He won that trophy with Hamilton back when they were the Hamilton Bulldogs. They've since relocated to Brampton, but he won the trophy in the OHL with Hamilton back in 2022. He's a special teams guy mostly, which is a pretty important thing for the Edmonton Oilers. Obviously, you saw that Edmonton power play all season last season dominate, but don't forget that Western Conference final against the Dallas Stars. It was their penalty kill that won them that series. Karlsson's returning to the NHL. It's been 12 years for him coaching outside of the NHL, so this is a great pickup for the organization, and it's a great story for Karlsson. My colleague Matt Pierce covered this, and so I didn't want to lead with it off the top. If you want to go watch Matt's videos, Matt's phenomenal. His videos are all over Oilers Digest. But I wanted to talk about Travis Dermott myself a little bit because the Darnell Nurse injury news kind of makes this Dermott PTO a little bit, it makes it make a more sense, first of all. Not that it didn't make sense, because I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised to see the Edmonton Oilers sign Travis Dermott. I was surprised to see that he lasted as long as he did in free agency, but I do think the Oilers made a smart move by bringing him in on a professional tryout, and I understand why Oilers fans are probably going to shrug off the signing, but I really do think Dermott could be valuable for this Oilers team. I totally think that if the money works there, they should sign him after the PTO, especially if he plays well in preseason. Now, Dermott last year wasn't really lighting up the score sheet for Arizona, but that's not really what he was there for either. He played 50 games with the Coyotes. He had 64 blocked shots. Now, that's in 50 games, a full 82-game season, and we're prorating that stat. We're talking over 100 blocked shots, which is really solid work, especially for a guy playing on the Coyotes who are struggling. His on-ice save percentage at even strength was 90.4%, which of course is more of a goaltending stat. But again, while he was on the ice, only 10% of the shots that were being taken were getting in the net. That's a good thing. And now he was on the ice for 37 goals against, but the numbers for Dermott are better on better teams. Is he going to be a game changer? I don't think so, but if he earns a contract and plays 60 games, he gives the Oilers solid defensive depth. And now if Darnell Nurse is out at the start of the year, I think Travis Dermott's an easy plug and play on that second pair. Is he as good as Nurse? No. Is Travis Dermott a second pair defenseman? Probably not. But again, this is an insurance policy thing for a team like Edmonton. The Oilers have their sights set on the cup. You can't possibly refute that. You can't underestimate the value of reliable depth players. So in a perfect world, we'd see the Oilers come out with a full roster to start this season, but even if they had a little bit of a rough patch, they're still one of the best teams in the league. They're still one of the deepest teams in the league, and if Travis Dermott sticks around, it could be one of those under-the-radar moves that kind of ends up paying off somewhat big. Now, you look at that forward core, Evander Kane's absence, it seems like the Edmonton Oilers have sort of been preparing for life with some injured forwards up and down the lineup. You look at the moves they made this summer. Vasily Podkolzin is an excellent example of a guy that I truly think could play in the top six in a bind. You look at somebody like Roby Järventie. He is a good player. I totally think he's going to make the NHL this season. I think he's going to end up playing an in-and-out bottom six role. But again, in the absence of Evander Kane, Järventie's a huge guy. He can totally make some things happen in that top six, playing with a couple good players, going to the greasy areas and using his size to wreak havoc for the opposing team, for the opposition teams. So for the Edmonton Oilers, yeah, obviously, again, the Travis Dermott thing hopefully will help alleviate the Darnell Nurse situation. But without Evander Kane, I am absolutely of the opinion that the Edmonton Oilers have managed to build this forward core with players who can play up and down the lineup. And that's kind of something that I've been talking about all summer is how, you know, when you're going to the Stanley Cup final and when you are starting a season having, you know, putting your sights on that goal again is making it all the way to the end. You need players that can play anywhere, because you're going to have a situation like this where, yeah, Travis Dermott absolutely is best as a bottom pair defenseman who goes out there, he blocks his shots, he makes his plays, whatever. But Travis Dermott's ceiling throughout his NHL career has always been a little bit more than that. Now, when Dermott plays a lot of minutes, as we saw in Toronto, as we saw in Vancouver, he struggles. But if he plays in a sheltered role, he could be a great pickup for the Edmonton Oilers, much in the same way as I'm saying that Vasily Podkolzin and Roby Järventie could be as the season moves on. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks for watching.